I have a very important message today for Donald J. Trump, our new president, and also Representative Tom Price, the new head of HHS. This is a message about healthcare, how to make it affordable, how to help make America great again by truly controlling healthcare costs in a way that not many people are talking about. So please share with me, share this video, and share my effort to get this video into the hands of people like Tom Price and Donald Trump. Now, quick background, my name is Mike Adams. I'm known as the Health Ranger. You know, I was a longtime Donald Trump supporter. I continue to be. And I predicted a Donald Trump victory, by the way, before it happened. Not very many people did that. I hope you like my shirt, the Donald Trump Nutrition Facts. We have to beat ISIS, build a wall, care for veterans, fix healthcare, protect the Second Amendment, and much more. But how are we going to do that? Well, when it comes to healthcare costs, let me present a very, very important principle that we have to all understand. So far, all the debates about healthcare has been about who pays for treating disease. And making healthcare affordable under Obamacare, which was a complete disaster, just meant subsidizing the costs of treating disease so that some people had an artificial concept of thinking that, oh, now my health insurance is affordable because they don't see the subsidies that are going into it, the billions or hundreds of billions of dollars just to keep the thing afloat. And it's crashing and burning anyway, which we all knew would happen. I've been writing about that since 2012, actually. So now, what is the real problem with that? The problem is you can't make treating disease more affordable if people keep getting sick from preventable causes. The real answer to how you control healthcare costs, and actually how you help make America great again by keeping people healthier and having better quality of life and working longer in the workforce and so on, is to stop the disease progression. In other words, prevent disease. And it's very easy to do. And I'm here to give you some very simple ideas, things that Donald Trump could do or Tom Price could do that could prevent disease and save America literally, I don't know, maybe $1 trillion over 10 years, maybe more. I'm talking about being able to cut cancer by at least a third in the next 4 years. I know that sounds astonishing, but hear me out. First, let's acknowledge a few basic principles of economics and corporate interests. We know that the disease treatment industry, the pharmaceutical companies, the hospitals, the medical imaging equipment companies, and so on, we know that they profit from treating disease. Now, it doesn't mean that there's a conspiratorial agenda by them to keep everybody sick, but they have no financial incentive to help people prevent disease because they don't get repeat business from that. And did you notice that most of the pharmaceuticals that are put out there don't really help people get well? And they don't solve problems, they just mask symptoms so that people stay on those drugs year after year after year. And now you've got senior citizens in America that are on 10 or 12 or 15 prescriptions sometimes. They're on a statin drug and a blood pressure drug and an antidepressant drug and all these other drugs. It's insane. It's medically insane. But it's generating a massive windfall of profit for the drug companies, but it's causing a huge cost to states, to the federal government, and also to corporations that can't keep their people employed. They're having to lay people off and fire people because they can't cover the healthcare costs. Why? Because these drugs are crazy expensive. I saw an article the other day, high school kids, they made a drug that costs like $600. They made it for 30 cents in high school chemistry class. These drug companies, they take these drugs that cost them almost nothing to manufacture, sometimes a nickel a pill, but they use the FDA to create a medical monopoly. The FDA's drug approval process, you have to understand, creates a regulatory monopoly that drug can treat these conditions. And then that drug can be marked up sometimes 60,000% over its manufacturing cost. That's hurting America. Yeah, it's great if you own stock in Eli Lilly or Pfizer or whatever, but it's destroying America's economy. That's got to stop. We cannot just say we're treating everybody and give them more and more chemicals and jack the prices higher and higher and call it medicine. That's not medicine. So the real answers are so simple. And by the way, I bring you this message as a guy who used to be borderline obese, borderline type 2 diabetic, suffered from high cholesterol, chronic back pain, everything. Today, I'm healthy and fit, and I've been that way, for more than 15 years. How did I do it? the same way that Americans can do. It's not even that difficult. You don't have to go to the gym 3 hours a day. A couple of simple things. Let me give you specifics. Number one, if our federal government began promoting vitamin D, that's it, just vitamin D, which isn't even really a vitamin, it's a fat-soluble sort of hormone precursor in the body. You know, your skin manufactures vitamin D. You know that, right? From sunlight exposure. And did you know that people who have dark skin, i.e. African Americans and Latinos and Asians and so on, they don't make as much vitamin D as fair-skinned people? As a result, when black people work in offices indoors, they become extremely vitamin D deficient and they have much more aggressive cases of cancer, more aggressive prostate cancer, more aggressive breast cancer. The cancer industry looks at black people almost like a medical ATM. It's like a cash machine for them. They know that that black woman's breast cancer is going to be more severe. And they don't tell that woman, you need to take vitamin D because, your ancestors were from Africa, close to the equator, and your skin is dark because you have a natural God-given sunscreen in your skin. That pigmentation that makes your skin dark is a gift. It's a gift to protect you from too much sunlight, but now you're living in a society where you don't get sunlight. You're living indoors, so you're sunlight deficient. So your body's not generating vitamin D, and you're growing tumors. Every winter, you're growing tumors in your body. The cancer industry doesn't tell them that. Vitamin D is chronically deficient in the African American community. And it's also deficient in among most Latino people and Asian Americans and white people as well, but especially in the African American community. And I've talked to a lot of black folks about this issue, and they tell me, no, nobody told them about this. We need to tell them about this. There are black children being born today with rickets, which is a disease of vitamin D deficiency. It's preventable for pennies a day. So this is the first thing. I can even cite you scientific studies that show that vitamin D alone prevents almost 4 out of 5 of all cases of cancer. Colorectal cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer. Vitamin D supplementation, which again might be a nickel a day per person, it helps prevent diabetes, it helps type 2, it helps prevent heart disease, it creates stronger bones, it helps prevent fractures in senior citizens. It boosts immune function. Vitamin D activates the immune system and helps the body fight off influenza infections and other infectious diseases, including tuberculosis. The answer to tuberculosis is basically vitamin D. And nobody in medicine is talking about this. Why? They can't patent vitamin D. And if everybody in America took vitamin D, there would be hundreds of billions of dollars in revenues lost every year from the medical system and the cancer industry especially. So vitamin D, if I could pick one thing that America needs to do to make America healthy again, it would be vitamin D. And there's 1,000 companies that make vitamin D. It's very inexpensive, it's very safe, it's very fat soluble. It's the margin of safety is very wide. It's hard to overdose on it. It's possible to overdose, but it's difficult. It's just a great nutrient. Okay, so that's one thing. Secondly, there are cancer-causing chemicals in the food supply that we know cause cancer, and I'm going to name one of them, the worst offender, that are causing cancer cases. They're causing leukemia, brain tumors in children. They're causing breast cancer. They're causing colorectal cancer. And this chemical is used by the food industry to make processed meats look pinkish or red or kind of fresh looking. This chemical, which is, by the way, sodium nitrite, it was grandfathered in by the USDA back in the 1970s. The USDA wasn't willing to fight the food industry over the toxicity of this additive. And the food industry needed a color fixer that they could put into processed meat so they could put a meat package on the shelf and it wouldn't look putrid gray. It would look bright red. It would look fresh. So to this very day, when you're buying hot dogs or bacon or beef jerky or pepperoni or even ham in sliced ham or ham in canned soups, it contains this cancer-causing chemical, sodium nitrite. Now, I have some chemistry background. I'm not an expert chemist, but I do run a laboratory. I'm the lab science director of CWC Labs. And we do mass spec analyses of environmental samples and food contamination and so on. I can tell you this, it's a basic chemistry equation. If you take sodium nitrite from these processed meats and you swallow it, and in your stomach you have some amount of hydrochloric acid, right? HCl. You combine the sodium nitrite with HCl, you get, as part of the chemical product of the equation, nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are so effective at causing cancer that in some lab rat, animal testing labs, they inject the rats with nitrosamines to cause the tumors so they can then study the drugs and how the drugs might affect those tumors. But in order to study an anti-cancer drug, they have to give the rat cancer in the first place. What do they use? Nitrosamines. It's what children across America are eating every single day when they're eating their hot dogs and they're eating, this processed meat. And that's why if you look at the scientific literature, the processed meat is heavily linked to all kinds of cancers. Not every kind, but a vast number of types of cancers. It is the most toxic substance in the food supply. It needs to be banned. So, Representative Tom Price, I hope that you will look into sodium nitrite. And Donald J. Trump, I hope that you will look into this issue. The food companies, there are easy alternatives that they can use. If you ban this chemical, you're not going to put them out of business. They can keep on making processed meat. They just change their chemical. They just change it. They can use even natural preservatives such as like rosemary extract and things like that. And they can use natural colors, by the way. Even astaxanthin can be used as a color pigment in these meats. There are so many different solutions. You don't need to poison the population with sodium nitrite. So if you do just those two things, number one, promote vitamin D for America. And number two, ban sodium nitrite from the food supply. Just those two things, I estimate you will drop cancer rates by a third within just 4 years. Just those two things. And I've got a list of 100 more things that are similarly powerful and easy to do and don't cost anybody hardly anything. I mean, let's talk about cost. We as a nation are spending over 20% of our GDP on healthcare costs. It's out of control. And it's incredibly stupid to just keep funneling money into these drug companies while our parents and grandparents and our families are getting sicker and sicker and sicker. That's not how you make a great society. That's how you enrich a bunch of corporatists while the people suffer. That doesn't really work long term. You can't sustain that. America will not survive unless we reduce healthcare costs by reducing disease. So we have to solve this problem if we hope to really have a nation in the long term. 20 to 25% of GDP on healthcare costs, which means disease treatment, it's unsustainable. Can't afford it. We cannot even compete internationally with service providers and manufacturers in other countries if they have much lower healthcare costs than we do, because our healthcare costs are bankrupting our companies and our small businesses and our factories and so on. You know this. If you look at the numbers, this becomes very obvious. We have to cut our healthcare expenditures in half, frankly. We need to get it down to 10% of GDP or less to really let America take off in terms of its economic abundance and have much greater employment and let employers be able to offer more jobs with more benefits to people, because the healthcare costs are not spiraling out of control if it's only 10% of GDP or less. Most countries is way less than 10%, by the way. 10% would be about cutting our costs in half, but we got to even do better than that. How do we cut healthcare costs in half? It's simple. If you spend a nickel a day on vitamin D supplements for the population, I mean, literally, if you had the government just buy vitamin D for everybody, have the government do a contract manufacturer with some big company, and literally mail everybody vouchers that they can trade for vitamin D bottles all over America. That would save this country hundreds of billions of dollars every year in healthcare costs. I guarantee it. If you get experts in there to look at that, you will see that that's true. You will see that that's true. The government today is giving people food stamps to go buy Oreo cookies and soda using government money. That's insane. What if we gave people vouchers to get vitamin D for free? And then, they would take the vitamin D and combine that with a public education campaign. Prevent cancer. Have your vitamin D tested. Get your vitamin D level up, especially if you have dark skin. These are important messages for America. For every dollar that the government spent on that, I guarantee you the government would save easily $20, probably more like $100 in terms of long-term healthcare costs. It's probably 100 to 1 return on that investment in terms of actual savings. That's how powerful vitamin D is. It's super cheap, it's very low cost, and it prevents extremely expensive diseases. Now, the drug industry will fight you on this. The drug companies, the pharmaceutical industry, they don't want people to have vitamin D supplements. They will argue with the science. They will try to censor the science, just like big tobacco in the old days, try to say, cigarettes don't cause cancer. Whatever. They're lying. Of course they're lying. The drug industry does not make money when the nation gets well. So you're going to have to fight the pharmaceutical interest, which is basically an FDA-run cartel. It is a cartel. It's a monopoly system. That monopoly system needs to be shattered, frankly. We need to open up this country to all the avenues of healing through nutrition, dietary supplements, nutrition, medicinal herbs. We need to legalize scientifically validated health claims on dietary products. And we need to really, frankly, subsidize vitamin D. And that is how we help make America great again. That's just 2 ideas. I've got a lot more, but I wanted to get these 2 out there. Representative Price and President-elect Donald Trump. This is a serious message from a serious citizen, someone who helped you win, by the way, to my millions of followers and fans. And we are independent entrepreneurs, innovators. I'm a scientist, food and nutritional formulator, and so on. We want to help make America great again. We are tired of the corruption. We are tired of the mass poisoning of the population through all these psychiatric drugs and all these cancer chemotherapy drugs. It's just killing people. We got to stop that. It's stupid. It's incredibly stupid. We can be smarter. We can prevent disease. We can spend a penny and get back $1 in terms of savings. And that's how we can vastly reduce these expenditures and make America great again from a huge sector. 20%, actually more of our GDP is going down this hole right now. 20%, 1 out of every $5 of our GDP. I'm not talking about just government spending. The whole economy is going into treating disease. The only bigger expenditure is probably military. And we've got to have military. We've got to have strong national defense. It's a crazy world out there. But it's a crazy health world inside our own country, inside our own borders. We have sort of pharmaceutical enemies of the people that are attacking people, in essence, with chemicals. That's got to stop. We got to show people how to get healthy again. We got to make smart economic decisions. And we have to invest in people's health, even if it means spending a little money up front from the government to prevent long-term costs from bankrupting us all. So I hope this makes sense. Thank you for watching. Please share this with everyone you know. My name is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, Lab Science Director of CWC Labs, and also editor of naturalnews.com. And these are the Donald Trump nutrition facts. So let's hope he gets everything on this list done. America will be great again. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help support this video and other videos like this, visit healthrangerstore.com, where everything we sell is laboratory tested for heavy metals and more. You'll find superfoods, storable survival foods, nutritional supplements, and a full line of synthetic chemical-free body soaps, shampoos, and oral care products. Everything we sell is non-GMO, and it's all completely free of chemical sweeteners, artificial colors, hydrogenated oils, and other toxic ingredients that you want to avoid. Find all this and much more at healthrangerstore.com.